So that man who just left you for news?
Why?
Just jealous, I guess.
Joe Blake's on line 1.
Have you been contacted?
Not exactly.
What is it?
There's a man here. I think he may be who I'm looking for.
Describe him.
Late 50s, slim build, gray thinning hair, maybe 6'2".
Anything else?
He makes these little paper birds.
I'll inquire.
Origami, so it must come from the Japanese side.
Look, if for some reason I don't make it back, you think I could ask you to get this to San Francisco for me? I know, it's a lot to ask.
Oh god, he's going to open it now and he's going to know exactly what's going on. The door is going to be locked. Or maybe that's why it's got the plastic sheeting on it, so the chemicals don't get into the fabric.
Hello?
Tough choice, Frank. Either way, somebody you love dies. Or maybe you all do. It doesn't matter what you believe. Does it? Any more than it matters whether you think you're a Jew. I wouldn't blame you if you gave in. Most people would. You're wrong. This ends only when people like us refuse to obey, no matter the cost. That's the only way that we defeat these bastards, and the only way you keep your soul. Hey! Don't let him take your soul, Frank! Don't let him take your soul! Hey, stop! Hey! Stop! Hey! Yeah! Man down! Man down! Man down!
Trudy gave me a film. It shows a different world. A better world.
So I wonder if him seeing the film will change his mind and he'll turn on the Nazis.
Now or never. Where is she?
He's going to kill him even if he tells him.
Just kill me. Okay, not them. No, just not them. Please. She got the knife. No. Wait. Okay, not them. Not them. Please, not them.
If he kills them, then he's never going to tell him, is he? Yep, I think it just blew his tiny little mind.
So we looked into this contact of yours, Joe. The man who makes the origami.
Seems he's a rather dangerous fellow.
Dangerous.
An undercover agent for the SD. Not one of ours.
He's apparently eliminated quite a few subversives.
The Marshal.
I see.
Your mission's off the books, Joe. Suggest you steer clear of him.
Oh, he's not going to make him watch, is he? Oh, that'd be horrific. Don't make him watch. She knows. God damn it. Oh fuck yeah, so if he is the Marshal, he's probably going to get the film and kill her, throw her off the top. Oh, what's the bets Joe Blake saves her at the last minute? Come on Joe Blake, save her. There's not much luck for him though, poor Frank. It's game over for him.
She was picked up a few hours ago in Oakland. They found this among her things.
Trudy Walker's satchel. And the film?
3 counterfeit newsreels. We've been chasing a dead end.
The film.
Excellent work, Trudy.
Come on, Joe. Come on, Joe. Oh, whoa. Oh, that's the, what's that martial art called that she learned? What? Psychological warfare. Joe's got it now. I know he's a Nazi spy, but I think he's going to turn over to like the resistance.
It's me. Okay? Here.
Well, if that was the Marshal, he's dead now.
Hey, Frank. They said you can go home.
What?
A suspect has been arrested. What? A suspect was arrested. A woman who's a known smuggler carrying Trudy Walker's satchel.
Juliana doesn't have the film.
That was the woman on the bus.
Yeah.
And my sister, her kids.
Oh no.
No, my sister, her kids.
We found out too late, Mr. Frink. But you are free to go.
I'm free to go! I am free to go!
You ever need any more Jews to kill? You know where to find me.
Yes, I do.
So there we have it, episode 2, and poor old Frank, man, at the end there. Let's talk about that first. Poor Frank. He basically don't know what's going on. He knew, like, Juliana was going to Cannon City, but apart from that, he was, like, in the dark. Basically, he came home from work, or wherever he was, and his girlfriend, I believe she's his girlfriend anyway. Maybe she is, maybe she isn't, but he came in, she was watching the film, he told her to disregard it and get rid of it, and then she just disappeared and left him. And he got captured, taken into a prison, beaten, and then he had his sister and her children killed. I think Frank might become part of the resistance now because of that, because the Japanese have just taken away probably the one thing he loved in his life. I have to give a quick shout out as well to that guy that was in the cell next to Frank as well. I think his name was Randall. I didn't trust him at the beginning because he was asking weird questions, but apparently he was just another resistance fighter trying to do his bit. And yeah, he didn't survive. He made Frank not give up the information by telling him that the cause was bigger than their lives, which I think ultimately swayed his mind into not telling where Juliana had gone. But like I say, it cost his sister and her kids, his nephew and niece. It was just really tragic. It's just they got killed for no reason at all. At the end there, we saw the woman who snatched Juliana's bag on the bus. She was captured by the Japanese, so they believe they were going after her. Now they've like let up the chase on Juliana because they believe they got the person they were after, and it was just what did they say it was? They said newsreels or something like that, duplicate newsreels or something like that she had in her bag. But but why would she steal, unless she was trying to help Juliana? She stole the bag so they would think it was her bag, and then they stuck newsreels in there, so then they would go off the pursuit of Juliana. So maybe they were helping Juliana in the long run because they had her bag. Who knows? Moving on to the neutral zone, we had Joe and Juliana, and Joe got a bit curious. He watched the film, and to be quite honest, I think now Joe is going to move over to the resistance side slowly. I think he'll keep in contact with Oben Grubenführer, as he calls him. They did actually say his other name. I think his name is Dilfs or something like that. I think that's his name anyway. Might be two separate characters. I don't know. But yeah, I think they will stay in contact, but I think he's slowly going to start changing his allegiances, and I think he'll start feeding false information to the Oben Grubenführer. And yeah, I can see it happening, because it looks as though he's starting to fall in love with Juliana, and I think he realises the significance of the films they both hold, and if he does, that means both films will be in the hands of the resistance. Speaking of the films, we had that Nazi officer go after him, who I suspect was the marshal, but if it was the marshal that woman was talking about, the man or the Nazi hunter that goes after people who rebel against the Nazi state, then he sort of went out really easily out of the show. So maybe that's not the marshal, maybe that's just one of his, I don't know, one of his employees, somebody who works alongside him, and we're yet to see the marshal character. I don't know, maybe it was just like a passing comment by that woman, and the marshal isn't a big character, a big bad. I should say as well, the man in the high castle is an actual man. They mentioned it in this episode, and I believe Mr. Takomi, I think his name was, I've got it written down here, the Japanese guy. I'm not sure what role he plays. I think they've probably said, but I can't remember. I didn't write it down. But he was talking to Colonel Whitner, I believe his name is, and they were talking about how the Crown Prince is going to the Pacific State on the Japanese side. I don't know who the Crown Prince is at this time. I'm not sure if they've mentioned it in the past episode, but I'm guessing he's the Japanese prince. He's royalty to the Japanese people, so we'll have to wait and find out who that character is. Staying on the topic of the man in the high castle though, that Colonel Whitner did say to Mr. Takomi, I believe it was, the films were destined for the man in the high castle. So I'm guessing the two films that our two characters, Juliana and Joe, are smuggling are destined for the man in the high castle. So they're meant to go to the man in the high castle. For what reason, I do not know. Maybe to be destroyed, or maybe so they can be wiped from history, or I don't know. It's just really confusing. I think I'm going to have to watch more of this series to understand what role the man in the high castle plays in the overall story. So this was a pretty heavy episode overall, in my honest opinion, with that ending. I'm glad we didn't see the mother and her kids die, because that just would have been horrific. But yeah, poor Frank, he looks like he's getting some character development, even though it's god awful. I am starting to like the character Frank now, because in the first episode I just sort of disregarded him, but he's getting more character now. I'm starting to know him better. We're also getting to know Mr. Takomi. He seems to be a main character, as well as the Oben Grubenführer. Next episode, I'd like to learn a bit more about the man in the high castle and who he is, and if he's some like sort of mystical character, as well as the Oracle, actually, because she was, or I say she, I don't know if it's a she or he. They weren't mentioned that much in this episode. They were mentioned once, but I'd like to learn more about that character too, to see what they did to make that film become non-history and for the Nazis and Germans to win. So overall, I'm really starting to enjoy this series. It's getting its hooks into me slowly. There's a lot going on, a lot of characters, like there normally is, and yeah, as the series goes on, I'm sure I'll get more and more into it, but I'm enjoying what I'm watching so far. So I hope you're enjoying the series too, if you're watching along, and until next time guys, thanks for watching. Feel free to comment below and leave a like, and I'll speak to you next week, or I'll see you next week. Bye bye.